Hi, this is Bishop Doherty of the Diocese of Lafayette-in-Indiana. And in this little video, I'd like to address a few elements that come about after the Dobbs decision by the Supreme Court that outlawed a lot of abortion possibilities across the country and turned legislation over to the states. Now, I know this is just one simple video. Abortion is not the only thing that I talk about. We have a lot of interests, but this is really key because it affects a lot of other kinds of legislation, including end-of-life legislation at a certain point, which is also very popular in some states. So we need to have some values that we bring to this. So the first thing to realize is that the federal government has thrown the decision-making back to the states. That means you and I have more to say about what's happening locally here, and we have to listen and pay some attention to what our legislators are doing and how they're talking. Another thing to realize is people are talking about rights. The Catholic Church has a pretty particular view of rights. A human right is something given to us by God. A civil right is something given to us by the government. So people speak as if they're born with a right to abortion, and that's not our position. That's something the government has allowed or regulated. Another thing that we have to be aware of in each state, we're talking about different limits on the availability of abortion, and this obviously affects who does these, where it's at, who can speak out against them without being thrown into jail for having speech that's considered aggressive, let's say. We know that in the state of Illinois right now, there's a big influx of providers and people going there for abortions, presumably some from Indiana. So we've got to be aware that this is not our state issue alone. And then we find there are issues of licensing, and then issues of free conscience. And I think for us who run hospitals and medical care centers, for doctors and nurses and other medical professionals who work in our facilities, there's the issue of conscience rights. And people have to have, whether they're working in a Catholic facility or not, do they have a conscience right to opt out of participating in abortion procedures? This is a big deal, and there's a lot of discussion as to whether they can opt out as an ethical objection or a religious objection. These are the kinds of things that the legislatures are talking about, and if we don't make our voices heard, people in the legislature are just going to presume that they know what's on everybody's mind, and to a certain extent, we're still a representative government. So we as individuals can speak up, and we can speak up also as Catholics. We're citizens. The other Catholic subversive idea is that the government is at the service of the people. The people are not at the service of the government. Although there's going to be some debate on that, that's going to be a clarifying discussion to have as we go along. So thank you for listening. Doesn't solve everything, but I want you to know we have our eye on the ball, and you should too.